right. So we go way back, almost 10 years now. But we're gonna get into your musical past a little bit, but not into the bad stuff that we don't like to talk about because there's a lot, some bad, not
I'm an open book. It's okay.
yes.
So it's fine.
I don't like to talk about that guy. So, uh, but Reclaim the Day, just like you, has really evolved musically over the years. The music that you guys put out when you first formed, stuff like Who You Are, completely different than Chokehold, which is your latest single featuring Zahna, which is absolutely amazing. I want to talk about that too, but can you talk to me a little bit about the musical evolution of Reclaim the Day? And I feel like you guys have been finding yourselves musically and as a band as you've gone along.
I think it's a cool process, to be honest, because we start out with Who You Are, and it's like not just us, but our whole audience in itself can see the progression of where we're going.
Yeah.
And I think that's a cool thing. Who You Are started. It was actually supposed to be a worship song. It was written on piano.
I noticed it definitely has that feel. It is a worship song. At least yes.
Josiah Prince from Disciple, and we kind of wrote and really kind of made that song pop more than what it was, and I wrote that song. It was a very deep place for me, coming out of Waiting for Ravens into Reclaim the Day. And so now it's just kind of one of those things where it's really weird, because now you go Sentence to Life, which definitely, like, that's probably, well, I don't know, because some of the new stuff is personal too, but like it's not even just it's seeing, like, sometimes a lot of artists don't listen to themselves, and I'm one of those people that are like, but I had so many, and this, in so many bands of my past, I can't be proud of some of the stuff that I put out. So it's like seeing everything with Reclaim the Day. It's like I like to I'll start out listen to our songs myself and just hear my vocals, the difference and the progression. And and even Andrew Stanton, one of our producers, is like, I think you guys are really starting, like, to find your sound. And and just when we think we do, like, Chokehold's heavy, but like we've got some heavier stuff coming out. Like,
nice.
It's almost like Silent Planet meets, like, I can't even think, to be honest. Like, nice. We've got my husband's a really awesome writer, and I love that. But I've been a little lax on the vocals. I finally finished tracking demo vocals for our last song on the EP. So
nice.
Pretty soon we'll be going into the studio and finishing up the EP. So I'm pretty excited. But the progression is just crazy, man. Like, I'm really excited to see, even with our next album, and like, we're already starting to work on new music for singles released and stuff like that. And just seeing what my husband's writing, I'm really excited to see what we can come up with.
Yeah, and especially with Who You Are, the single, not Who You Are, but the single, the song Who You Are.
Yeah.
I really hear, especially your previous band, a lot in that single musically, because you guys were in that band together. I hear a lot of Waiting for Ravens kind of in that song a little bit too. Was that the first song you guys kind of wrote and really put out post Waiting for Ravens?
Yeah, it was. Surprisingly, so we actually didn't do a lot of writing with Waiting for Ravens.
Right, a lot of the stuff was already written when you guys came in.
Yeah. And I mean, there was still a lot of writing. Like, a lot of the stuff on the Midnight Weddings album that is out now, like stuff that we were playing live. As Waiting for Ravens. It was really cool to see the the transition of all the songs that we were learning and stuff.
Right.
Like, oh, it's different. But when we came into that period, like, Who You Are was definitely the first song that we released. And it was probably the tail end of Waiting for Ravens when I started writing that song. And I even remember pulling Shane, the production manager, into the room to listen to it, and he was like, "Wow, this is really good." And it's like to see where it came from, just starting off there and being real and raw with the music that my husband and I were writing. It was just crazy. So I mean, yeah. And then now you got like this headbanger that's so cold.
Yeah. I listened to them. I was like, oh my God, this isn't even close to the same at all. This is awesome. I mean, obviously, I know your musical preferences. You know a lot of mine. Chokehold is more you guys, definitely.
Yeah.
That's my jam. Sure. I love that song.
Thank you.
But playing with, what is that?
That would be my dog.
Okay, that makes sense.
Sorry,
it's fine.
He's a puggle, and he has a very small esophagus. So sometimes when he drinks a little too much water, he starts.
No, it's fine. I just want to make sure it wasn't like my microphone or like the or something. So
you're fine.
But working with Josiah from Disciple, working with Zahna, those two especially have a huge heart for the smaller level bands, the local level bands, the bands you would see on like a Kingdom Come festival. And Disciple, I feel like, is like Skillet on a smaller level. They've been around forever, like a million lineup changes, but you see them playing the churches, and I almost feel like that group of bands, you can throw Reclaim the Day in there. It's like a community itself almost, because it's a huge, like, vast array of bands. They all know each other. They all play a lot of the same festivals and shows, but they all work together too. How do you get linked up with like Josiah and Zahna? Was it like a Kingdom Come festival and like a pit fest that you guys linked up with them and connected? Because Josiah works with like a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, Josiah, we actually got the connection through the Midnight Wedding.
Okay.
Waiting for Ravens at that time.
Sure.
And it was. I mean, Josiah's not really a hard guy to get a hold of. You can literally message him on Facebook and he'll respond.
Right.
But we decided to go with Andrew too as well, and became friends with him. He's such a good dude. They're both great dudes. Zahna's the different story. Zahna was something that it was, even her and I still laugh at this to this day, but like it was just kind of one of those things where I was contacting her because I saw that she was promoting lessons. Mm-hmm. And when we first started Reclaim the Day, I was like, I really don't want to be the lead vocalist. I tried that once and it wasn't great. Like it wasn't a great experience. Like
I'm not so sure you can really, I mean, you can count that, but that was a very different experience.
Yeah. And even the music industry was completely different back then.
Oh my God, yes.
And it was just it's nice to sit here and talk about it with people that knew back then, because a lot of nowadays there's just so many artists just popping up. They don't know, like, and it's funny to see like there are promoters out there that are like they come up to me and they're like, I have this person here that can mentor you. I know you're a new band. And I'm like, honey, I've been in the industry for years. You just don't know it.
Right. Going back to like 2013, which that's when that year was that I saw you guys open for Drowning Pool with a previous band. I legitimately still don't. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the band, and we don't have to drop. That's okay. We don't have to drop that name
because that band's music is still on YouTube. So I don't usually drop that name in interviews either.
Yeah, no. We'll talk about your time in it, but that was 2013, and I always like to say that 2013 it was a different time, but it was also one of my favorite times in music because so many young bands, even on the national level, were popping up. You had like Heaven's Basement, you have We As Human, rest in peace, love you, Justin. And then
it's crazy because like all these bands that we grew up with, I came into the industry looking up to a lot of people I've worked with already on a personal level. And, some people you won't even realize, like, Jake Jones from We As Human. He's the guy that directed the Chokehold video.
Mm-hmm. New band As We Ascend. Amazing.
Yeah, right. And, all these people, like, that we've worked with, and I, like, with lessons, I started out because I was trying to get my husband to actually be the singer for Reclaim the Day. And, I was just praying about it one day, and I was like, God, you know how my first band worked out. It was like, you know how being a lead vocalist just didn't work well for me. Like I had insecurities from that point, because I had my own producers at the time were telling my bandmates that you weren't going to make it far with my voice. And like, it's one of those things where it was pretty rough, because I've had a lot of people throughout the years tell me that I'm not good enough. Not a good enough guitarist, not a good enough vocalist. And so it's just one of those things where now I'm at a peak of where I feel really comfortable. I'm teaching music, I'm teaching vocal lessons, but when I prayed about stepping into the lead vocalist role for Reclaim the Day, it was kind of like God saying, I didn't call you to sing for them, I called you to sing for me.
Right.
And I was like, okay, all right, but I'm getting vocal lessons. And then shortly after, I see Zahna like post, hey, I'm teaching lessons. And I was like, all right, I better jump on this. The funny thing is that I emailed her, but like a few months went by and I didn't even like go into it. And then I saw her at KCF and I was like, hey, I'm sorry I left you on red, dude. Like, and from there, we finally ended up starting vocal lessons. Like, she helped me with cleans. My screams, they kind of just developed on their own. But she was there to help me with push me in cleans, and I still haven't had a vocal lesson in probably over a year, but with her. But through that, we actually just gained a friendship. Like, her and I would talk on days where we were having lessons. We'd end up just talking about life for like 3 hours, and we're like, oh, we did not do it. We didn't do any singing.
That's so awesome.
So through that, we just became close. And then I was like, let's do a song together. And so we did. Nice. And I was like, let's do a video together. So we did. And it was just great. So now, like, we just came back from Texas probably 2 weeks ago. And we were like, we went to visit them and hang out with her and Pat.
Oh, that's so awesome.
It's just been a huge development in friendship. Like, she's literally like one of my best friends.
That's so awesome.
So I'm blessed with that. If you would have asked me if it was going to end up like that, like a few years ago, probably would have laughed at you. But the friendships that I have. But a lot of it's just like, I think it's just God really bringing in these people. I never really met Andrew through Waiting for Ravens, but then I kind of got in contact with him. We emailed, and then we started just saying, hey, let's do this. So Josiah and Andrew have been co-producing this EP.
Nice.
And it's so good. Like the Chokehold and Sentence to Life were both co-produced by those two. Very cool. So if you like that, you're gonna like the rest of the EP.
So were you a fan of Zahna? Were you familiar with her music before you started working with her?
I was a little bit. I heard, I didn't really start listening to Red for War, which is her first album, till like after I started doing lessons with her, and I felt bad. Like, I told her, I was like, I feel bad, dude, but like I knew underneath, and that was about the only song. I did know she was in Ilya, and we talked to her.
She was?
Talked about that. Yeah, she's the lead vocalist for Ilya. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Huh. Yeah, she was the lead vocalist for Ilya, and that's kind of how I knew her from.
Okay.
But we like I came up to her. I'm pretty sure I talked about this like a few weeks ago with her. I was like, dude, like, I remember coming up to you and like saying, hey, my old band played with you guys before you were the lead singer. Like, back in the day, Ilya was like just 3 girls. This tells you how old I am. All right.
Well, I remember it.
And now, like, they had and at the time they had I think JP, Susie, their other drummer, and like another guitarist or something like that. And then, but I went up to her after a show and I was like, hey, I played with you guys before. You were like the lead singer. And she's like, she laughed. We were talking on the phone. She laughed and she's like, yeah, I'm sorry, dude. I don't even remember that. And I was like, I know you don't. It's okay.
Yeah. That's one thing fans got to remember, man, is these bands meet a million people and they're not always going to remember you, Sometimes if it was like a memorable, like a standout thing, you can like say something that'll jog their memory and they'll remember it. But like,
Yeah.
if a band or a celebrity or anybody you look up to remembers meeting you, that's a compliment because that doesn't fucking happen.
Right. And it's so cool, like, to see that even with us, like, I feel bad because I've met so many people from so many different bands. People are like,
Mhm.
oh, I remember you and you played for
Yeah.
this band. I was like, I met so many people and I don't know which band you're talking about. And like,
Right.
it's sad. It's like, but the Red Show for sure. I know you were there.
Yeah.
Um, I had a couple people that like I was able to just sit there and minister to, and
Yeah.
I will forever remember that. Like
Mhm.
exactly what the people look like. I might
Yeah.
not remember names very well, but
Mhm.
it's like it's all for us. It's the ministry portion. Like we love rocking out on stage, but like
Yeah.
it's what happens at the merch table, man. Now, granted, I don't remember everybody, but
Yeah.
I tried to do my best to like, okay, this is what this person looks like. But there are also some people that like look like other people, so it's like,
Mhm.
but I feel so bad when
Yeah.
people come up to me and like, yeah, I remember meeting you, and I was like, oh yeah, you're that person.
Yeah, I had a similar experience with Justin C from We As Human,
Mm.
where we're talking 2013. Like I said, one of my favorite times. I interviewed him at the Carnival of Madness, where We As Human opened for Skillet, Papa Roach, and In This Moment, and
Yeah.
Shinedown. Interviewed him, and their first, I guess, only record had just come out like a week before. And I told him in the interview that this was already like my fifth We As Human show. He's like,
Wow.
"How?" And I named off every single one. He's like, "My God!" And then a few months later, they played the Bear Birthday Bash in Fort Wayne. He remembered me there, and then they opened for Filter and Indy. I walked up to him the merch table. He gave me a giant hug and started introducing me by name to fans at the merch table and like plugging my publication.
Oh, that's
Then
awesome.
they played Rock on the Range, and afterwards he ran over and gave me a giant bear hug,
That's
and
cool.
said we
Yeah.
had to do an interview. Let me jump in front of like 8 radio people, which made me hated by every radio station there. And then
That's that's good though.
KCF, when they played that in 2015, he stuck around until 3 a.m. Same thing as Zahna, just talking about life and just all kinds of stuff. I think my buddy and I got out at like 3 in the morning, and she was so pissed at me. I was like, nope, we're talking to We As Human. And it was just on a personal level. We would text for a while, and then when that whole thing happened, when they split up, freaking sucked. So,
Yeah.
you know,
That's my favorite part about this industry. Like, and there are downsides to getting to know people, because
yeah.
there are a lot of crappy people, unfortunately, in the Christian industry. You wouldn't expect when you're first coming into it, but there's a lot of like nasty people in this
Mhm.
industry. But there's also a lot of good people that are really down to earth.
Yeah.
And Z's one of them.
Yeah.
Despite what many people might think, um, but she's actually really down to earth. She's really cool. And even her husband Pat, like really
That's
really good
awesome.
guy. Nesdom. I mean, Josiah Prince, very awesome. Andrew, they're all just down to earth people,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what you could hope for in an artist that you can relate to. That it's just kind of one of those things, man. Like I've been blessed to sit down and sit, like last time we went to the studio, I remember we got together with Andrew, and we went to Chipotle and just like sat on our lunch break and invited Chris Gianola. He was playing for, he's kind of more like a
Like a session,
Phil, like a
touring.
session play. Yeah, like he doesn't play like session, but he does touring. I think right now he's touring with Matt Moore.
Oh, it's like a hired gun.
Yeah, like a hired gun.
Yeah.
And so, but we invited him to lunch, and we all just sat and ate burritos and talked about life. And I think those
Nice.
are the moments that I cherish the most
Yeah.
with a lot of the artists that I
Yeah.
get to meet and talk to.
Yeah. I once interviewed Matt Baird. I know you know who that is, but for fans,
Yeah.
he's the lead singer of Spoken. Interviewed him in Fort Wayne, Indiana, in a Dunkin' Donuts at like 2 in the afternoon. And it was
That's awesome.
amazing. And he's another example, just an awesome, down to earth, nice guy. Trevor from House of a
Yes.
Crutch, same thing. Awesome dude. I think the best compliment a Christian musician can get is when they tour in the mainstream or secular industry. When an atheist artist like Corey Taylor will even say, such and such artist, even though I'm an atheist, they are the perfect example of Christians that really do it right. That's when you know those are good guys.
Yeah, I mean, and even then with Christian artists, it's like there are some people, and good for them, but like at the same time, there are some people that will literally just play church shows. And Reclaim the Day is not going to be one of those bands because, you know, if you think about it, like we're supposed to love everybody, all right? Yeah. And that's what the whole message about Jesus Christ is, to love everyone. And that means the people at the bar, that means the people at the clubs, everything. We play bars to witness and just be there. And, you know, like that's one thing I will say about that Drowning Pool show that I love, because, you know, playing secular shows, there's a lot of nice secular bands.
Oh man, yeah. Actually, some of them are nicer than the Christian bands, unfortunately.
Oh, most of them, honestly. And that's coming from a person, and it is very sad.
But it's true.
You know, like I might get scrutinized for this, but like there are a lot of Christian bands out there that don't like act like Christians. Yeah. And we're supposed to love on each other. I know for a fact that I've had bands that have come against my projects and bands that I've been a part of, and just talk trash, or you know, festivals, for example, a Christian festival, they would go to the head of the Christian festival and tell them, you know, this band, they don't deserve to be on here because of this is going on, instead of coming to us and talking to us about it firsthand. And that happens a lot.
It doesn't just happen in music, it happens in the church. When I went to a Bible college, it was that same way. Like, look, if you feel convicted that I'm doing something wrong, come and speak with me about it, and we'll talk about it, we'll pray about it, and you know, but also look, God is leading every Christian in a different way, and he may have things in your personal life that is a bigger deal than what those Christians think is wrong. He's working with you on that first because it's more important to him, and will affect your witness more and your testimony more, you know. So
that's the thing with Reclaim the Day. It's like we just try to be real with people. Like we're big screw ups. I mean, like
we all are.
You know, we all are. But like, it's just kind of, you know, and in the Christian industry can be different because people are held to a different standard. Like if an audience member is like, oh, this person's smoking a cigarette behind the stage, which I don't smoke anymore, by the way. But you know, like, but I did probably during the times of the first band I was in.
I'm surprised you didn't do more than that, because the dude in charge of that band he drove me to drink a lot sometimes.
Well, I
took him
did
to a Slash concert once.
Yeah, you know what? And I remember that too, because he wanted me to come with you guys, and I was like,
oh, I wish you would have.
I probably should have. I apologize for that. I left you out to dry there. No, but I do remember that day specifically, actually.
I remember it very, very well. All of it.
But I do also remember the good times. Like, you know, granted that band was, you know, but it pushed me into where I'm at now. Yes. Like, I mean, every band I've been a part of has led me to where, and I actually just wrote a song about this, you know, like, it's probably going to be the last song on the album or the EP that we're releasing. It's called Don't Look Back. But everywhere I've been, like, you don't want to look back to the past and become like, it's basically about that, not looking back to what you've done, where you've been, but admitting that where you have been has led you here, and you're in the wake of overcoming. And it's just like, it's a definitely unique song. Man, coming from my first band, just seeing how much my writing has like progressed over the years too, like I'm so like, you know, I'm a perfectionist, so it's like I'll write lines. It'll take me so long to get through a song because I'm like, I don't like that.
Yes.
And I wait 2 days because I'm like, I'm not satisfied with this. So it's really funny. That's why I get a lot of co-writes, because it's like I can't do this myself. Otherwise, it's gonna take like 10 years.
Exactly. Now, as far as, you know, being a local band on a smaller level, you know, trying to really find your place in the music industry right now, which is completely different than 10 years ago. It's different than 5 years ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Opening for bands like Drowning Pool, opening for bands like Red. This is one thing I love asking bands about, and I get it a lot, and I can explain it to people sometimes. What are some of the biggest misconceptions that fans have about you when you're on a show with like Red, Drowning Pool, all of these, like national huge bands? Fans think it's completely different than what it actually is sometimes.
Oh man, that's I've never been asked that before. Am I
Aha!
that? Yeah, yeah.
Aha!
That's a new one. That's a new one. Um, honestly, man, there's just so much that goes into that. it's
Do,
that's a question to unload.
do they still do the sell tickets for a spot on the show thing? Because that was going on when I was working with From These Ruins, and there's
Not
workarounds on that. But
there are. I think there definitely pay to plays are still in existence.
okay,
But I don't do them anymore. Like,
they suck.
it's sad to say, but like I'm past the point where I'm gonna pay like $500 just to open up for, like I've done that way too many times, and
Yeah,
the biggest misconception is that, like for smaller bands looking on the outside, you're like, oh, you're opening for, let's say, Red, like at Emerson. It's like, this is your opportunity to, make it big. And it's like, no, it's not, sweetheart. Like, you're just
no.
playing. Now, it is a good opportunity for you to, like get your name out there a little bit more.
You can grow
But
your fan base a lot.
right, right. And that's the biggest thing. But there's a lot more nowadays. I hate this so much, but it's a lot of online based promotion,
Hmm.
because that's how you can, even with the days like with COVID and everything. I mean, most people were literally online listening to music,
Hmm.
and that's kind of carried over. So, I think that's why Chokehold really blew up as it did, because we did promote that song
Yeah,
as best we could online.
yeah.
And like I saw comments on our video for the music video, and it was really cool because people are like, hey, I was just listening to the song, came across it, and I'm listening to a Walmart parking lot. And I
Nice.
loved it. And to the guy who stopped and listened to it, this is my first time listening too. So I was like,
That's
this is
awesome.
really cool, like just
Nice.
seeing that,
Nice.
and it was kind of, it's a humble feeling. But um, to audiences, it's the biggest misconception is like, there are a lot of people that there are a lot of people in the industry that try to take advantage. Like, say if there's
Mhm.
smaller bands in the audience, or a lot of times they're like, oh, you played this show with this big band, and like you can get us hooked up, or you played this this show with this band, and you're so much bigger, and like let's connect with you. And I'm like, like that's the part of the industry that I hate, is
Yeah,
that like I love helping younger people.
yeah.
Like my husband and I, our business Reclaiming the Day Studios is for that reason,
Right.
to help other people. But like, there's so many people that are out to take advantage of people in this
Hmm.
industry. And I really seeing that over the years, I've hated it, man. Like,
Yeah.
that's the one downside. And I, like I said, I'm going to get scrutinized for a lot of the stuff I'm saying, but I'm being real.
That's what's important
There,
though.
yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people in the Christian industry that, like, I feel like a lot of people in the secular are nicer than
Hmm.
people in the Christian industry.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
that's a sad
Yeah.
thing to say. And I've talked to artists firsthand that are in the Christian industry that are like, I want to get out because I'm tired of all the people.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
hate that, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's just it's a sad thing.
Hmm.
But like, I
I
not saying
interviewed
that all bands are like that.
I interviewed Maddie Montgomery from For Today,
Mm-hmm.
like 6, 7 years ago when they were on Warp Tour.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, you guys are one of the few bands that plays like a Warp Tour, but also had played Cornerstone Festival. If fans don't
Yeah.
know Cornerstone, it's literally Christian Woodstock. It's 7 days
Right. Right.
over 4th of July. It's a nightmare to go to, let alone work
Yeah.
the thing. I was like, man, what are some of the differences you've noticed in the Christian festivals as opposed to non-Christian? He said, and it was the most disheartening thing I've ever heard. He said, there's not one. In fact, the non-Christian festivals are they treat you better. You know, it sucks. It was like, next question. You know,
Yeah,
like it was just, and he was
it's
so
true.
just deflated when he said it, but it's absolutely true. You know, and that's one thing fans don't get when they don't know our side of the industry is, you know, a lot of those big things, they're awesome for ministry and, you know, evangelism, but backstage, it's a business.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like you know, Reclaim the Day, we call ourselves a ministry, but we're also a business. And I run most of the side of the business things, but like,
Right.
it sucks, but
Got to
you
be hard
know,
to
to be
separate.
able, yeah, you got to be able to like go out and minister, but also be able to pay your players, pay
Yeah.
for everything that you need, pay your bills. Like my husband and I, we have a
Right.
kid now. We have to pay for our children, and
Right.
there's a lot of churches that are like, hey, you know, you should, if you're a ministry, you should play for free. And I'm like, that's not how this works.
No.
I mean, we've got to come out, and we actually have to make money, and if this is going to be, and that's
Right.
another reason why there's a lot of artists stepping out and literally doing like side stuff. Like that's why we do studio stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, I mean, and that's why I teach lessons too. Like,
Yeah.
that you've got to make money on the side, and you know, and even then you have to have money to tour, to make money to tour. And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like one of those things. There's so many misconceptions on, you know,
Yeah.
and there are promoters that I've come across that think they know what's going on and how much it costs for each thing, you know, and I'm like,
They know how much it costs for their show to go on. That's all they know. Like,
yeah,
that's it.
I mean, and even online promoters, man, like, I didn't even know that was a thing until like a couple years ago. But like,
Right.
people that do shows online, they just don't understand the amount of energy and amount of stuff it takes to be in a band, and a professional one at that. Like,
Yeah.
it's so difficult. It's so
Yeah.
difficult. There's so many people that I've talked to. You know, I've been on the phone with other artists, you know, like at 3 o'clock in the morning, then like, I want to quit. I can't do this anymore. This is just too much time, too much money, too much energy. And I'm like, no, you got to keep going. If I'm staying in this, you're staying in this.
Right. Yeah. And you're taking me down with you if you quit.
Yeah. Right. And
You
I
know?
think it's the same too. Like, there are a lot of, you know, I think there's more money in, like, when you play secular venues. Sometimes it depends on the situation, but there are Christian festivals that do treat you well. I will say,
Oh yeah, they're not all
yeah,
bad. There's some
yeah,
Kingdom Come Festival treats the band great.
they've always done good stuff for me. Always, you know, they have the hospitality room, air conditioning,
A1M just in general.
food.
Let's shout out to Jay at A1M. You know, the level that they do it at and how well they do it and how concise and tight it is as far as running the shows. Festivals are
Yeah,
not easy. They're not
it's
easy.
not. And you know, Chris Bossum, we've had, like, because he's actually recording his music through our studio, but we've had conversations with him. There's a lot that goes on for promoters, and being a promoter myself, at some points and times when I get on, when I do shows, I don't do that as much anymore, because it's not an easy thing to be a promoter. But
Right.
you know, in any aspect of the industry, it's not easy. Like, I've been a booking agent, I've been a promoter, I've been a lot of different things in the industry, and none of it is easy. And
Right.
but like, putting on a festival as big as KCF is actually getting, you
For
know,
free, by the way.
yeah, for free.
For free.
And there's just so much that goes into it, and you feel bad because you have to, like, behind the scenes, they are like squashing like problems, getting funds for bands, making sure all needs are met. Like, there's just so much that they have to do.
Yeah.
So I give them props, and you know, for everything that they have to do with, for sure.
And it's not like it's just tiny bands. We're talking We As Humans played it, Disciple,
Yep.
Fireflight, As We Ascend, Flat 56. I mean, good God, like the level. And those bands aren't like arena level bands by any means. Those aren't like a Winter Jam. But
Yeah.
those are names that
They
most
used
of
to be
us
back in the
know.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Most of us,
Now, like, yeah.
we all
Ugh.
know the names though. You know, they're
Yeah.
it's big enough that when they announce the lineup, even me, I'm not even Christian, is like, maybe I go.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I don't know how I just noticed this, but I love your shirt.
Thank you.
Hailstorm is
Yes.
one of my favorite bands.
And
Um,
non-Christian bands, some of the nicest people in the freaking world. Absolutely amazing.
it's true. It's
Um,
very true.
so nice, you know, but like they came from nothing and worked their way up and they remember, you know.
Yeah.
But so I guess when is do we have a release date for the EP? Do we have a name for the EP? What are we
Yeah.
looking at for timeline wise when fans, the Reclaimers,
Ah, there you go.
are going to
um,
hear the EP?
there's a lot of new stuff coming for Reclaim the Day, and we've been a little quiet lately. Obviously, it's the
You
new
guys just
year,
got past
and
COVID.
yeah, last week I had COVID, and it was
It's awful.
not the greatest feeling.
I had it in 2020 and it was, whew.
My husband's had it twice,
Oh, good
so
God.
and then every time we get sick, our son gets sick. And so, like,
Right.
in the midst of me having COVID, our son got sick, and my husband had to take him to the emergency room to make sure he was okay. He had croup, possibly had COVID, just a whole bunch. It was a mess.
Our
So
daughter had croup twice in 2018.
it's not a good thing.
It's
And
scary because
it is.
like all I remember is she woke up in the middle of the night and couldn't breathe.
Yeah,
Luckily,
yeah,
we lived across the street from the ER, so it was terrifying to see your son or your daughter on that hospital bed at 3 a.m. with wires and everything hooked up, and you don't know what's wrong.
yeah. Oh, it's and I stayed home because I still had COVID, and
That had to
but
have been just
it was.
torture.
And it's kind of one of those things that it's not something that you want to get used to, but you did. Like,
Yeah.
because when we first had our son, a week after, literally, we went to KCF, and then a few days later, I don't know exactly how it happened, but he had this bad eye infection. It spread to both eyes. So we were sitting there in the emergency room just watching this little newborn on the table, like pretty much hooked up,
Oh man.
and then they had to admit him for a few days, and because they admitted him, only one parent could stay with him because of COVID.
Yeah.
And it was just like, me and my husband took turns, but it was just it was so terrifying.
Yeah.
And then I've been scared, but that was one of the most scared feelings I've had in my life.
Yeah, I don't ever want to. Luckily, our daughter's past the age where croup is a thing now.
Yeah.
But I was just like, oh my god. The second time, we're like, she's got croup.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's a scary thing, but it really, like, because for me, a lot of times, like, I panic when it comes to that, because we've already lost one child. So, like, there was a time where even when I was pregnant, like, there was, not to be TMI or anything, but I started bleeding a little bit. I was pregnant with Eli, and I went into shock.
Yeah, because that happens once, and
Yeah.
it's hard enough when it happens once, but if anytime any sign pops up, I mean, it's not a great comparison. It's just like having COVID once. Anytime you start having a symptom, you're like, no.
Yeah.
Good God,
yeah,
no.
for sure.
So yeah, I would see why you would go into shock, because it happened once, and you're like, I literally can't handle having that happen again.
Yeah, I was scared. Like, I was like, I cannot lose a second child. Like,
yeah.
My husband, it was probably like midnight, and I was like, get on the phone, call our doula, call the doctor, call everybody, like, make sure that, like, do we need to go in? Everything was fine. We scheduled it, and it was just like one of those things where, but it just was like, those moments, and even after we lost our first child, it really was God that brought us closer together as a family unit. Good. And we couldn't have done it without that. So it was a very trying time the past few years, but at the same time, God's brought us to where we're at today, which is also another thing. My husband and I have been in the midst of working on a song for like 2 years. It's already been written, but we just haven't recorded it, which is about that situation of losing a child. And it's more like an acoustic thing, but we don't know what we're gonna do with it yet. We're probably gonna release it at some point, but like that's kind of like, it was kind of a duet between me and him. And so but as far as the EP goes, I just have to go track my vocals for real at the studio, which we're gonna be getting in pretty soon, I hope. And then from there, we're probably looking to release it this spring or summer.
Coming fast.
And the EP title is, we already have the artwork and everything, but the EP title is called Psalms. Psalms, basically the book of Psalms. It's David talks a lot about his personal struggles, and his testimonies and everything.
Yeah. And
that's why we decided to name the EP like that, because there are stories for each of the songs that we've had, that we've put on and it's just basically our just bits and pieces of our testimony. Like Sentence to Life was my testimony. Yeah. Chokehold was our bassist Logan's. Okay. It was based off of that. Okay. And then Who You Are was another one of my things. But like I feel like but Who You Are was kind of like it's a single, so it's not actually going to be on the EP. But like and then we've got a couple songs basically joining my husband and I's testimony together, and
nice.
That's basically why we called it Psalms, because it's like our cry, about us. It's like every little song is about us, and our personal struggles through life. And Lord knows that since you've known me for a long time, you know that I've had a lot of struggles.
Are you sure an EP is enough room?
Eventually.
You might need a couple LPs to pull this, to really get it all out.
Right.
Marketing, especially. Nothing but EPs. Lots of EPs.
The first few years of doing music professionally, definitely could do a full length album. So
lots of EPs always leave them wanting more.
Yes.
Always.
Yes. Absolutely.
Don't throw it all in at once. That's one thing I've learned from my time in professional wrestling. Patience for the payoff. Always leave them wanting more. Make it good enough, but leave them hanging so that you have room to do more down the road. Don't blow your wad in one shot.
Yeah, and that was another thing too. Like when we released Chokehold, I was so stoked because first off, like you said, I've been doing this for a while. I've been doing. Yeah. I've never once done a music video until that point. So it was a new thing.
How hard was that?
Man,
those aren't easy. Those take forever.
It was about so we started at 5 p.m. and ended at 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, no, those take a long time.
That was natural darkness then.
Yeah, it was natural darkness, everything. And that place that we filmed at was so creepy. Like, we found doll heads like in the
where was it?
In the ground.
Was it Step Cemetery?
No.
Just the fact you know what that is amazing.
Back in the day, I used to do the ghost hunting kind of deal. And
there's shit there. So yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I had rocks like thrown at me. That's another story, dude. Like there's
I feel podcast number 2 coming.
That's another story. But I was stupid back then. So
we all were.
I've grown a lot. Yeah.
We all were. There's reasons I got out of it too.
Yeah. But I'm trying to remember where I was going with this. Oh yeah, so
Yeah, the place you shot
there
chokehold
was.
video.
I think I talk about this like in every interview at this point because there's just so many stories behind that shooting that music video that are just hilarious. For one, like Susie twisted her ankle twice, fell into thorn bushes twice,
Jeez.
and like that whole dock scene, I
Yeah.
literally fell over and over on my right side, just getting that shot right, like probably about anywhere between 20 or 30 times.
Oh my
My
God.
whole right side was like bruised the next like week,
Jeez.
and I could barely lay on it, and
You
it
guys go all
sucked
out with
so
these things,
bad.
man.
Oh yeah, it's hard to. I mean, it's really fun though. It's like acting in your own movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like the idea of it was, obviously it was a campy horror film kind of music video. And Susie directed it. And we just, along with, Acceleration Media.
Right.
But it was really cool to see it come alive. Like the guys were, and the creature, I think you might have you met my brother?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he actually played the lake creature, and
Okay.
he's like 6'4", and seeing that
Perfect.
costume, like literally at night, and the eyes just glaring at you, like when he first put it on, I was like, "Get away from me! I don't want, I don't want it." But and I've had friends that have seen the video that don't do well with scary stuff, even
Oh,
as
those are the best.
campy.
Oh, those are the best ones.
Yeah, as
Those are the
campy as it
best.
is, they like when they saw the creature literally grab my ankle, they're like, "Oh my gosh, get away!" It was like they're cheering me on. But it was so campy, but it was so fun to
Right.
shoot. And then there were also horses that ate pizza, and that's another story. Just there's just so much fun that went on that night. But
Oh,
also so much injuries.
that's great. Well, I tell you what, when obviously now that when people hear this, people see this, it is posted. If people want more behind the scenes stories about that video, about Psalms, about Becca's great ghost hunting experiences, we'll
I
do
wouldn't call
episode.
them great.
We'll do
they
oh, they're always great. We'll do episode number 2 and delve more into all of that stuff. But it
Yeah, for sure.
sounds like in the coming months, Psalms, the EP from Reclaim the Day coming out. For what it sounds like, these are songs that obviously your diehard core fan base, they're picking it up, downloading it, no matter what.
Yeah.
But if you're not familiar with Reclaim the Day, go listen to this stuff when it comes out. Listen to the 3 that are up on Spotify right now. Chokehold it's good.
Thank you.
It's good.
Thank you.
You're gonna love it, and the video kicks ass. So yeah, guys, go check it out. Listen to the songs on Spotify. Download, buy, pick up whatever you can do to listen to the EP Psalms when it is out. And yeah, Becca, glad we were able to finally do this
Yeah,
for
dude.
all the
Seriously.
time.
It's been a long time coming.
But it's good that it took as long. We had more to talk about, and
Yeah.
good, bad, great, fun, all the fun stuff. And when you guys are playing in Indy again or somewhere close, I'll be out there shooting the photos for it, and I won't get held up outside of the venue by security
Yeah.
this time.
I can't believe that happened, man. That was so weird. We actually we have a Greenwood or Indy kind of show that I think the venues were locating in July.
Really?
And actually on July 1st, so basically my husband and I's 5th wedding anniversary, we are doing a show. So if you
Nice.
want to come do videos or photos for that, dude,
Yeah.
like be all means,
That's like
that'd be killer.
that's like me and my wife's honeymoon was Metallica at Rock on the Range 2017. So
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah, I always like people are like, I don't want to do concerts and stuff on their birthdays or for me,
please.
like sharing the stage with my husband is a
Perfect for you.
great anniversary gift for
Yes.
us.
Yes.
So I love that.
Give me the details on that show, and I'll make
I
sure
will.
I'll make sure I'm able to be there for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Awesome. This has been fun. Fans, check out Reclaim the Day. Check out Psalms when it's out. We will post the release date when we have it. And Becca, enjoy your weekend.
Thanks. You do the same, Reggie. Good talking to you.
You too. We'll see you.